Welcome back, students. We're continuing to solve 2020 mathematics paper at foundation level, and we're going on to question 10. Worth 50 marks, so there's extra problem solving and applications in this question to justify the fact that there's so many extra marks. And it goes on a little bit longer, and there's a lot of kind of tricks in the question that you want to watch out for. You want to read the question, you spend more time reading the question and checking for understanding, making sure you understand the questions, and spending more time checking the question towards the end before you give your answer, because there's often a kind of a sting or a twist to how they want the answer given. Okay, so let's jump straight in. There are two fuel tanks, Tank A and Tank B, on a factory site. So even reading the question is more difficult. That's a kind of stretched out statement, if you ask me. So in a factory, there are two types of tank, Tank A and Tank B. In a diagram drawn on the next page, let's take a look at it. Now it's a diagram, but it's not a concrete diagram of what's going on with the tanks. It's just a graph of volume versus time in Tank A. Okay. In the diagram drawn on the next page, should say the graph drawn really, and the line shows the amount of fuel in Tank A over a number of days. The tank is full at the beginning of day 0. So here's the first question. How many liters of fuel are in Tank A when it is full? Okay, let's go to the graph and see what we can learn from the graph. So this is when it's full. Okay, and there's halfway between 400 and 500, which is 450 liters. Okay, so we'll fill that in. After how many days is Tank A empty? Last time we needed to use the y-axis. This time we need to use the x-axis. So this is when it's empty. It's a decreasing function, and the value has fallen to 0 after this many days. So just checking the scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1 box is worth a day. Now we're 2 boxes beyond 10, we're at 12 days. How many liters of fuel are used from Tank A each day? It's like finding the slope. It is exactly like finding the slope. And one of the tricky things here is if you go and just try and see how many did I drop by in one day, it's hard to evaluate. Okay, so again, they're being a bit sneaky here, because one interpretation of the slope is for every 1 day forward, the slope is what the value goes here, it's a negative value. So that's what we're going to do actually. We're going to take 450 and divide it by 12. Okay, now I know it's negative, but I think the question was asked in such a way that we'll be giving a positive answer. How many liters are used each day? So that's our calculation. Now there may be a lattice point somewhere in between, like at 6. That's probably a lattice point. That's probably a lattice point. We're kind of going 4 boxes each time, aren't we? And that's a lattice point. So you could say you've lost 150 in 4 days, which is 75 in 2 days, which is 37.5. But either way, if you put that in your calculator, you'll get the same answer, 37.5. Okay, so that's a very difficult question. The answer is 37.5 liters are being used per day. Okay, but there's a lot of maths concepts in that. That is that if you calculate the slope from rise and run, like using a large rise, which was negative, and a large run, you can interpret it as being the answer, 37.5, as being the value you drop every day. So look, if I'm going to go forward another day, I'm going to drop that much. And that there, that little black line there is 37.5. So is this black line here. And switching to red. Right, these are all the drops and they're all 37.5. Okay, and now we just have to complete the table to finish up. So after one day, there's a mistake. Oh, this is tank B. So tank B holds 800 liters. We could put a dot there. When full, this tank is also full at the beginning of day 0. Good. Each day 100 liters of fuel are used. So it's going to go down to here after a day, and then to here, etc. You could take out your ruler now and you could join them up. But the important thing is we're taking away 100 each day. Now remember, we can use our calculator for this too. In fact, we're going to bring in series and sequences here and say, how could we get a formula? These are the first two terms. So you remember the 700 take away 800 is minus 100. So that would go in front of time. But we'll use x because our calculator has to use x. And what would have gone here a day beforehand would have been 900. So 900 minus 100x could go in your calculator if you wanted all the values in one go. But of course, dropping by 100 each time is very easy as well. But because we did this in class, I want to show it. We'll look at it. So we learned that we'd use tables to put the formula in. We worked out that the formula is 900 minus 100x. And if you're thinking, oh, but this doesn't even look like a sequence question, it's because it isn't a sequence question. But we're in section B, and to connect your maths, to connect sequences to functions is what we're doing here. And we're doing it well. We don't want G. We will start at 0. Because sequences start at 1, but graphs with x, continuous graphs, start at, the equals, they start at 0. And I'm going to put a big number in there because I can, and we step by 1. Okay, and these are the numbers that go into here. 900, well, we won't use that actually, we'll use the 800, which is there already, then 700, and now 600. It just makes it a little bit easier. I know you're only taking away 100 each time, but it just makes it a bit easier to do it on your calculator. 700, 600, but of course it's not very difficult either way. 500, 400, 300, 200, 100, and 0. So it runs out at the exact same time actually, doesn't it? Oh no, it doesn't, after 8 days, which would be here. Okay, now it'll be interesting to see how well lined up everything is as we go from there, there. And did it tell us to complete the graph? Complete the table below to show the amounts. And that was it. They didn't ask us to fill in the graph, but we could have done so very nicely. Down 2 boxes each time. Okay, that's the end of that. As always, students. Am I sure I finished the question? I am. As always, just that's the end of an entire paper. Okay, and my advice to you is to do the paper out several times. Okay, cover up any work you've done, or try to have a way that you can use your paper but write onto plain white paper or something, so that you can do it several times, because you want to be able to come back to this paper and do it again, or just start YouTube with a blank sheet of paper in front of you and stop it early on during the videos, and make sure that you see retention and recalling techniques is very important. So when you're studying, it's not all about understanding it once. It's about how do you go over the material to study it so that you get you give yourself a chance to remember skills, facts, and problem solving skills. Okay, so as always, students, I will see you in the next one, which will be the 2021 paper. Okay, good luck with your studies.